Economics desk. They're going to be joining us to chat a little bit more about what is coming up for the week ahead. And for that conversation, SABC News Economics Editor Tshepo Mongoai is going to be discussing these dynamics. Tshepo, good afternoon. We have a lot in store. Obviously, come the 21st of May, our Finance Minister set to retable the budget 2025. And so if we look at what's happened at Budget 2.0, and the changes, the developments leading up to this moment, tell us a little bit more about what we should be expecting.
I think the priority now for National Treasury is to make sure that the budget goes through.
Sure.
There will probably be a lot of concerns, and I do expect that there will be a lot of grey area in this particular budget. The fiscal is under pressure, so they will have to compromise or sacrifice certain objectives in the interest of a sustainable fiscal framework. Yeah. Remember, as much as this is an important budget for the people of South Africa with key priorities, we are also dealing with some of the risks, fiscal risks, that are in the budget. We have to ensure that in this budget, South Africa demonstrates its ability to address those areas of concerns. And one of them, of course, is our very high debt levels. Yeah. Credit rating are watching this very closely. People that have assisted us with money that we have to pay back are looking at this very closely to see, are we really containing some of these risks? Our debt to GDP is already very high. In fact, some analysts project it to around 80%. But in the previous budget, 2.0, they said that it will be contained at around 76%. And then it will come down to around 75% in the outer years. So in order to do that, you need to ensure that your spending, your expenditure, is contained. You don't go out to borrow. So there are concerns in terms of they need to strike that balance. Yeah. And it will be very, very difficult in this kind of environment. Who's going to be happy? Who's going to be disappointed? That is going to happen.
Corporate tax, sin tax, wealth tax, income tax, lots of avenues that need to be explored, and that conundrum needing to be balanced. And I wonder if you even look at what's happening on the backdrop of the macro dynamics unfolding. You've got global inflation, you've got crude oil prices as well, recovery even from COVID-19, conflicts at large, trade wars. Tell us more about that impacting our domestic dynamics.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the previous budget, they had a growth focus of around 1.9%. Not many people have that growth focus. Many have since revised downward, 1.5%. You have few at around 1.8%. The lowest being 1%. So that tells you that, of course, we are in a completely different environment. Fortunately, our inflation rate has come down substantially, and I think they were projecting around 4% inflation in the previous budget. But if you look at the real inflation at the moment, it has come down substantially. Last print was around 2.7%. Expectations are that it could go up to around 2.9%, but it's still quite low. And then, of course, we had last week the Deputy Minister of Finance, Amos Masondo, indicating that, that we may see inflation. David Masondo, sorry, the Deputy Minister of Finance, indicating that we may see inflation coming down, and the inflation where it is in terms of target. It's likely to come down to around 3%.
There's an interest rate announcement that's also pending later in the month, so it's interesting to see what SARB does on that front. But staying with our finance minister as well as we edge closer to the 21st of May, I mean, there's the issues on public wage bills, social relief or distress grant. Yeah. Those are also factors that are going to have to be weighed in. We're also edging closer to local government elections. But even if we're looking at the reality on the ground, unemployment sitting at 32.9%, getting that economy to really grow and have jobs, come to the fore so that people can spend and we can see that cycle continuing. What's happening there?
I think it will be very interesting to see what priority are going to be in this budget. Particularly, you've had economic development as one spending area that has actually been increasing substantially at around 8%. The concern is, are we still going to see that level of growth? Because that's where you locate your infrastructure spending. Is it still going to be a priority? You may see that they might have taken away some of the resources away from that particular spending area in order to deal with frontline services because we just don't have enough in our kitty. So it will be very interesting. We had around 46 billion rand additional revenue that was indicated in the previous budget. Are we still going to see that? That's another concern. In order to meet some of these expenditure items. So we are going to see, I would say it's going to be a slightly different budget. And as I indicated, we are going to see some gray areas in terms of how we're going to meet some of the expenditures. But there will be certain priorities, especially on the social spending. I think government will ensure that they prioritize that. You may see that some departments may actually find that they have to do away with some of the programs or at least defer them for a time being until they are able to resume those programs. And when, I mean, that's the big question.
Well, the clock is ticking. We're edging closer to the 21st. I know you and your team are going to be bringing us all that live coverage. And as you mentioned, lots of grey areas, more questions than answers at this point. And we're looking at possibilities, probabilities, nothing standing. But let's leave that conversation there for now.